Okay, so everybody, we're going to move into a panel session now where we're going to be talking to some of the key players in the forefront of the longevity now market, which is we've got Richard Marshall of Juvenescence, Bill Kapp of Fountain Life, and Jörg Rieker of Maximon. So hopefully everybody's here. Yeah, hey guys, how are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Very well, thank you.
Good to see you, Phil.
Yeah, great to see you all. And we've got 15 minutes to spin through some questions. And I guess the first question I had really was for you, Richard. One that came through the chat, and one related to my first question anyway, which was obviously as a hybrid business that's moving from toggling between biotech and consumer products. The cognitive switch obviously is an interesting play for you. And somebody asked me, can we get it in the UK? So that's question number one. And question number two is, can we expect other similar products coming out of your stable?
So on the first question, you can. It's available through the feed. The regulatory governance of supplements in the US and in Europe is slightly different. In Europe, I have to say, as for many things, it's a bit longer. But however, the feed have agreed to provide worldwide distribution. And then are there other things coming through the pipeline? Absolutely. We've got I think an opportunity to firstly optimize and improve things that we already have good evidence could be beneficial, and then there are really totally novel things coming out of the pipeline. That's a short answer.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm sure you'll let us know when the time is right. And Bill, just switching over to you, of course, Fountain Life in the States is really very impressive, getting a lot of traction in terms of media coverage, as well as seem to be hearing Fountain Life everywhere. How's it going? And maybe you could just give everybody a bit of an overview of the business model.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you for having me today. So yes, we're rapidly expanding. I mean, our company is more of a platform company. I mean, our whole reason for existence is to detect asymptomatic disease while you're still in a symptomatic, in an asymptomatic fashion. And so to that extent, we created our first 4 centers, which are data collection. We do, on average, collect 150 gigabytes of data. People are fully quantified, and then we'll be mining that data over time for more insights. But we really believe ultimately that, our highest growth area is actually embedding into the home and embedding into wellness communities. And that's the direction that the company's pivoting toward. We really believe this idea of proactive primary care, where the 4 walls of the doctor's office dematerialize into the 4 walls of your home with an AI guidance is the direction that we'll be moving. And we've had good traction in that regard. We are agnostic when it comes to the technology platforms. We're constantly looking for the latest innovations, and a lot of these that we've heard about today are great potential candidates. And then because we have a very well quantified member set, if you will, in terms of the fact that we have sequential serial data over a number of years that we follow our members over a period of time, we're able to, potentially trial those and then provide data back to the companies. So we've had that happen on 2 occasions now. We're working with a few startup companies that are looking to validate their product across and engage subset of people that are very interested in, the longevity space.
Yep. And Bill, how many clinics are you up to now?
We have 4 currently. We have another 3 in the pipeline, and then we have a lot of interest that will be extending into the Mideast and into Europe as well.
Okay, wonderful to hear. And you're obviously running the fund for Maximon, and you guys have a sort of 5-year rule to your investment. So maybe could you just explain that to us, because I think it's very relevant for the longevity now investor.
Sure. Yeah. So we're first of all a company builder or a venture studio. There's different names out there. So we started 3 years ago, and actually our mission is a little bit to optimize the health span. So it's not, we're also building biotech companies, but it's really about the health span and not really about the lifespan and, everything that comes out from the biotech sector. With that, I believe in 15 to 20 years, we see great things coming from the biotech sector that will, extend our lifespan or can even reverse aging. But, somebody needs to bring us there, right? So we want to make sure we don't die today. So we get to those interventions in a healthy lifestyle, and this is actually what we do. So we build companies that you can use now, today, and that make a solid revenue in, I would say, 4 to 5 years. So we're not going the biotech route. For example, Avea, our supplement company, we started it 2 years ago. They're going now into a Series A with a 50 million valuation. So this is, an example where it worked really well.
That's very interesting, because obviously I was going to ask you about Avea, and what we're just discussing with Richard, of course, is these very powerful molecules that are still generally regarded as safe and therefore able to get to market quicker. So in terms of Avea, they seem to be moving fast now. Are they an example of others in the space, would you say?
I think there's more and more supplements company are coming up now. The question is always, how scientific are they, and how proven are their products, and how good are the ingredients. So we only launch science-proven products, where we can make sure they're not doing harm, and where we also go in human trials. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. And but I think we're not the only ones out there anymore. So there will be more and more. But we just, we make sure that we bring out the best products you can measure and that actually work. Yeah.
And Richard, you guys, as I understand it, are you still fundraising, or have you closed out your round? But I wanted to ask you, in either case, what's it like out there raising capital at the moment?
So we are fundraising, and as Greg explained, we recognize that at the moment, at least, there are kind of 3 sets of investors. There are honestly people that kind of get the space, and they feel the excitement, and they understand that actually the holistic way to achieve what we all want to achieve, i.e. extended health span and lifespan, is not just about a drug or a supplement or an app. It's actually about all of that together. So some people get that. That's one group of investors. Others, as Greg alluded to, the traditional VC type investors, they want something that walks like a drug and quacks like a drug. And then there are people that are genuinely passionate about the supplement field, and they specifically, and elements of that being synthetic biology and the potential to sort of scale up, novel interventions via that mechanism. So we talk to all 3 sets of investors. I don't have to tell anybody probably on this call how difficult an environment it is to raise money. We've got quite a big pipeline to deliver, as Greg alluded to, and we've sort of in an unusual position where we've got multiple drugs all entering clinical development in quite a short space of time. So we've got that big inflection in sort of financial need, but it's based on the fact that the pipeline has continued to be successful. So we've got a big war chest. So we're just making sure we've got the biggest war chest possible to move everything forward. And we hope to close out. It might just be the end of this year, maybe early next, but it's going well. And I think over the course of the last few weeks and months, as we've been talking to people, I personally have seen already a kind of thawing of sentiment, if that's the way to put it, even in that sort of relatively short time frame. So hopefully, good things to come for the industry in 2024.
Yeah, it's definitely picking up out there. And Phil, you're doing a Series B at this stage, am I right?
That's correct.
And how's that going? I'm interested to understand what type of investors you would be approaching. Are you looking at traditional clinical investors, or real estate investors, or even luxury tourism investors? Who's interested in you?
Yeah, I would say yes to all of that.
All of them, right?
Yeah, no, I think ultimately most of our investors have actually be passionate about the mission, what we're using. We do have some venture capital, but I would say the vast majority of ours are individuals, family offices, things of this nature. It's actually, we have a lot of investment with family offices, and it has to do, I think, number one, what we offer is something for the patriarch of the family. So, an ability to detect disease and optimize their health is a primary focus point. But we are in the middle of the B. It has been a little bit slower, but we've had really good success. We just launched the B round about 4 weeks ago. We're about halfway closed.
Great. And just to talk through the business model, because it's quite interesting, isn't it? You're looking at co-locating in country clubs and golf clubs and places like that, as I understand it.
Correct. And so what we're in the process of doing is we partner with real estate developers. The wellness real estate sector is probably the hottest sector currently right now in the real estate world. They can command about a 25 to 30% premium for wellness real estate. The last estimate, it's about a $500 billion industry right now. It's grown threefold in the last year or two. And so this idea of embedding wellness into your home. So we actually partner with developers that actually pay for the build out of the entire center. And then they guarantee the membership through the homeowner's fees. And so that's how we're doing the screening. So the screening we do is expensive, but when done at scale, it drops pretty significantly. And then more importantly, it's leveraging dollars that are already being spent in the healthcare space in terms of the wellness space, but it's not necessarily direct, what I would call sick care dollars, like insurance premium dollars. So that's how we've approached this. And the response has been really overwhelming at this point.
Oh, well, that's great to hear. And Jörg, of course, your part of your role is to fundraise from family offices to take your LP base up to a bigger quantum, of course, at some point. So how are you finding attracting capital into your fund at the moment, and where are you managing to source that from?
Yeah, it's a tough environment. I mean, I was fundraising my whole life, I believe, because, you know, I started building companies since I was at university. And this is really one of the toughest years we ever had in the last, let's say, 30 years, I would say. So you only attract investors with a really good product and a really good team. I think at the moment, key is even, the team is even more important than the product. And so we're raising a 100 million fund. You know, minimum ticket size is 500K. Our investors are primarily family offices because we're a first-time fund, right? And when we get to the next fund, then we also will bring in pension funds and other investors. But at the moment, it's family offices. What they like about us is like, we're not just building one company, right? We're not just building a supplement company or just a clinic, right? We build companies that are all interconnected. We have the first platform out there that does multi-omics, so not just gene testing. We do everything down to the gut. We have the supplements for you. We have the clinic for you. So we're building that ecosystem that makes sure you get the best hyper-personalized prevention that's out there, because it's too complex and it's not just one solution. It's a mix of solutions you have to do to get to stay healthy.
Yeah, and are the rumors true that really the money that's actually moving is in the Middle East at the moment?
Well, yeah, a lot of money is in the Middle East. I mean, that's for sure. But we see, but I can only speak for Maximon now. But we see US opening up again. You know, there's more IPOs coming. That's always a good sign that money starts flowing again. But we also now see good traction in Asia and Singapore, for example.
Okay, great. Well, gents, I'm so sorry that we're tight on time because there's so much that we could be talking about today. But really, thank you all for your time, and best of luck with your funding rounds. And of course, if you're able to stick around for the second part of today's event, that would be wonderful. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Phil.
Great, thank you.